Coming to you live from Namibia's capital, Windhoek. This is the midweek edition of Primetime News, and for the next 20 or so minutes, we will be exploring and making sense of happenings within and beyond Namibia. Good evening, I'm Michael Madimba. Firstly, we would like to apologize for the error we made in last night's bulletin by referring to a group of people camping near the Katutura Youth Center as refugees. They are in fact war veterans. Now, leading the bulletin, the Ministry of Health and Social Services has revealed that 10 regions in the country have fair staffing of healthcare workers representing 71% staffing in areas of key service delivery, district hospitals, health centers as well as clinics.
A healthcare workforce status report for 2022 issued recently indicated that only 3 regions, Khomas, Erongo and Otjozondjupa, have good staffing, while none of the regions have very good staffing as per the scoring model. The report indicated that the staffing levels vary across district hospitals, with Mariental, Ludritz, Nankudu, Okakarara, Karasburg, Okahao, Tsandi and Omaruru having very low staffing levels. It said by 31st July 2022, the Ministry of Health and Social Services had a total of 21,138 approved posts, of which 13,029 representing 62% were filled, while 1,463 representing 56% were temporarily filled. The report also noted that the government funds 81% of the filled posts, while the United States of America's President Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief funds 17% of the healthcare workforce. Reporting for Primetime News, Chokonia Nehemia.
Moving on to socio-economic development. First Lady Monica Gengo says post-independence, there is a need for the private sector to invest in their employees by capacitating them with the provision of housing, education and healthcare. The First Lady expressed her sentiments during a courtesy visit at the Namibia Desert Diamond Company, Namdia, on Tuesday. Let's listen in.
And when I look at what the old CDM did during the time of apartheid, of offering its employees, because my parents weren't educated, but their children had access to the best education. Their children had access to the best healthcare, and their children were enabled to fulfill their potential. Free housing. And if an employer could do that pre-independence, we do need to start speaking to private sector post-independence of what is it that we're doing for our employees. Because we talk a lot, and it's important to talk about social responsibility, but when we say we're the second most unequal country in the world, the only way you change that is by creating more jobs. But secondly, is by really investing those who are employers in the human capital that provides them services, and making sure their children also have access to the best, because that's how we get more and more young people, like the one who stood in front of us studying medicine at UNAM. And I think that's important, that UNAM produces quality medical graduates. It's something that we should applaud UNAM for. They're doing more and more research, they're developing human capital more, and we want our institutions to do that.
Now, the Namibian Competition Commission has slapped Maxis office machines and one of its suppliers, Riso Africa, with a fine of 341,601 Namibian dollars and 12 cents. This after an investigation into alleged anti-competitive behavior concluded that these entities entered into an exclusive distributorship agreement. Here is more from this insert.
This is after an investigation into alleged anti-competitive behavior concluded that these entities entered into an exclusive distributorship agreement. The Namibian Competition Commission determined that the parties violated Section 23 subsection 1 as well as Section 23 subsection 2b and 23 subsection 3e of the Namibian Competition Act No. 2 of 2003 by entering into an exclusive arrangement that granted Maxis sole distribution rights to Riso-related items in Namibia. Dina Govasses, a commission spokesperson, told Nampa on Monday that while the two parties disputed the commission's factual findings and interpretation of the act, they admitted that their actions constituted an unintended violation of Section 23 of the act. As a result, the parties agreed to settle the dispute on terms and conditions outlined in the consent agreements. Reporting for Primetime News, Ishmael Mukuvonda.
The Namibia Financial Institutions Supervisory Authority, NAMFISA, has ordered that over 2.2 million Namibian dollars be restored to various clients' accounts. This after accusations were mostly directed against the long-term and short-term insurance players, as well as the pension funds, as well as micro-lending and credit agreement players. More from this report.
The majority of the complaints were settled peacefully. NAMFISA Chief Executive Officer Kenneth Matomola said in a press release on Tuesday. He said the complaints were primarily due to delays in non-payment of pension benefit claims, repudiation of funeral claims, non-cancellation of contracts, and delays in payment of death and refunds. Matomola noted that the regulatory authority finds concerns and root reasons in complaints throughout the settlement process, which are then used to identify or influence focal areas for consumer education and supervisory actions. NAMFISA also contacts regulated entities and industry events to facilitate amicable resolution of grievances.
Stay tuned for the business segment. Welcome to the Primetime BizSlug, the segment unpacking all things business and economics. The agri sector leads the segment. Botswana's National Agricultural Research and Development Institute, together with the African Agriculture Pty Limited, an agricultural trading company based in the capital, Gaborone, recently signed a memorandum of understanding to introduce new drought-tolerant rice varieties in order to increase yields. Now, the collaboration is expected to promote rice cultivation in Botswana. Tiny Diswai, Deputy Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Agricultural Development and Food Security, at the signing ceremony in Gaborone, noted rice is the third most imported cereal and contributes substantially to the country's escalating food import bill. Moving on to business updates from East Africa. The 25th edition of the Africa Energy Forum opened in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, on Tuesday, with delegates renewing the call for greater uptake of clean sources of energy in order to secure a climate-resilient future for the continent.
Kenyan President William Ruto opened the forum that has gathered senior policymakers, industry executives, investors, researchers, and innovators to discuss energy security in Africa. He said that by investing in cross-border energy projects, African countries will bridge the access gap that has stifled industrialization, poverty alleviation, and social cohesion. The four-day forum, held under the theme of Africa for Africa, will focus on strategic themes including scaling up renewables uptake, breaking down barriers to green energy transitions, and positioning Africa as a hydrogen powerhouse. More than 20 African ministers and investors from 82 countries across the globe are participating in the forum that is expected to adopt a new roadmap for revitalizing energy security in the continent. Reporting for Primetime News, Ishmael Mukuvonda.
This brings us to the end of the top news segment for tonight. We now consult with the Weather Oracle to gauge the weather conditions throughout the country. Planet, where we unpack all sporting action for you. Our sports journalist Hesron Kapanga continues to provide us with feedback on the action at the Special Olympics World Games in Berlin, Germany, and reports that Namibian middle distance runner Finamakeni Hamutenya won a silver medal for Team Namibia on Tuesday. Hamutenya reached the men's level A 800-meter final on Monday with an incredible run of 2 minutes, 3 seconds and 30 milliseconds, which was his new personal best. In the final on Tuesday, the Namibian runner improved his personal best time once more to 2 minutes, 2 seconds and 95 milliseconds to finish second behind Kenyan runner Daniel Mutiso, who won the race with a time of 2 minutes, 2 seconds and 50 milliseconds. Hamutenya's previous personal best record before the World Championships was 2 minutes and 24 seconds. On to international football. U.S. Major League Club co-owner Jorge Mas on Tuesday revealed Lionel Messi will likely make his debut for Inter Miami on a League Cup match against Mexico's Cruz Azul on the 21st of July. The announcement came almost 2 weeks after Messi announced he was leaving Paris Saint-Germain to join the Florida outfit, which is also partly owned by former England captain David Beckham. The 35-year-old's first game will be played at the DRV PNK Stadium in Fort Lauderdale, which is undergoing redevelopment work to increase its capacity and improve security. According to widespread media reports, Messi has agreed to a 2.5-year deal with an option to extend for another season. He will reportedly earn between 50 and 60 million US dollars a year. Your sports roundup is up next. On that note, we've reached the end of the Midweek Newscast. Many thanks for watching. A reminder that if you're new to this channel, feel free to follow the prompts on the screen to subscribe for daily current affairs updates. Also hit the like button and recommend the channel to family and friends. Your feedback is very much welcome. Catch us again tomorrow as we update you with the happenings within and beyond our borders. From myself, Michael Madimba, and the entire creative team behind the scenes, it's good night.